Hello everyone, Tina here. I hope your day is going wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me. Today we are going to create 4 cards using the Spellbinders card kit of the month for December 2022. We're not going to use the dies. During the unboxing I created a cute little bird. I'm going to save that for the large die of the month club kit. But today we're going to create 4 cards using the Love Grows Here card kit. We're going to jump in and get started. I already have some cardstock that I trimmed down, or actually not cardstock, pattern paper. I love the pale pink of this. This has grid lines on it, and I'm going to take this, almost looks like a lattice. I'm going to take this panel. It's 4 1/4 inches wide by, let me grab my ruler, by 4 inches tall. We'll flip this over and add some adhesive behind here. We're going to directly adhere this to our card base on top. We'll just place that down there. And then I have some of the yellow pattern paper that has the little squares with the hearts in them. I'm going to add this right on the bottom of my card base. The card bases that I'm using are part of the kit. And I have a little bit of a gap, but that's okay because we're going to create a fun border for this. I trimmed down a 1/2 inch strip of some white cardstock, and it measures 4 1/4 inches wide. We're going to stamp our sentiment on here, and I'm going to use our stamp set. I like the sentiment that says, "Life is a beautiful thing when you are with you in it." Let's stamp. Oh, ouch. I'm going to stamp this with my black ink. Right in the middle of this. Actually, do we want to go in the middle? Yeah, we'll stamp this right in the middle of this strip. I think I can center that a little better. I'm going to flip it around. We're going to stamp it one more time. Yeah, I think that's a lot better. And then we're going to take this. I trimmed down a slightly wider piece of, let's zoom in a little bit. I trimmed down a slightly wider piece of the gold mirror cardstock. I'm going to add some adhesive behind here, and we're going to layer this so the gold's peeking out on the top and bottom. After this is done, we're going to flip this around. I'm going to add some adhesive on the top and the bottom. And then I have the rainbow borders. We're going to use 2 of them to create a real pretty scalloped edge. We'll tack this down on the bottom, and then I'll tack this one on the top. So we have a real pretty border. This is going to go upside down, and we're going to put some foam adhesive on the reverse side. I'm just going to remove the release paper. We're going to place this right over our seam here. I'm going to finish off this card with a few of the Gold Mix Color Essential Gems. We're just going to add a few. Oops. Now, after we have our gems adhered, I'm going to use my corner rounder. I'm going to use the 1/2 inch side. And I think I need to empty it because as I'm tossing and turning it, I have all my corners flopping out. I'm going to corner rounder, just round a corner on the top right. And then that will finish card number 1. For card number 2, we're going to use these beautiful florals. I do have some of the gray pattern paper that has the little hearts on there. I trimmed this down so it's just slightly smaller than my card base. So this measures 4 inches by 5 1/4. Let's add our pattern paper in the center of our card base. And then I have that same pale pink grid paper, that lattice paper. I'm going to take this and adhere this to some gold mirror cardstock, leaving a little bit of a border here. Now this pink cardstock is left over from card 1, and this measures 2 inches wide by 3.5 inches tall. So 2 inches wide by 3.5 inches tall. And then we'll flip this around. I'm going to add some foam tape behind here, and we're going to put this in the center of kind of creating a frame. Once we have this popped up in the center of our card, we can now add our florals. We're going to grab some foam squares for this. I'm not going to press them down just yet. I'm going to kind of play around with my placement here. And I like that they're going to overhang the frame a little bit. And I think that looks pretty. For my sentiment, we're going to use one of our chipboard stickers. I'm going to use this label here. I'm going to add a foam square on one side of it, and I'm going to tack this down here. And then I'm also going to grab one of our foam sentiment stickers. I want to use Every Day is a Gift. It kind of has that same tag shape, and it will fit perfectly inside here, leaving that gold showing. I love layering, and I love that things can coordinate. Like, it fits perfectly. Lastly, we're going to bring in some gems. I have some of my gold mixed on my desk, so we're going to use some of these. I may have to grab another pack, but I'm going to fill in these flower centers with a few of my gold mixed gems. And that will finish off my card number 2. A little bit of sparkle there. For my next card, we're going to create a little scene in one of our photo frames. We're using the pink polka dot that says loved. I'm going to go ahead and remove the release paper off of the back. And then we're going to add a cloud, kind of tacking it behind. We're going to add another cloud over here. And then I'm going to add the sunshine up in this corner. And then I'm going to use my scissors and trim off the excess. Once we have this done, I'm going to flip this around, and we're going to put some foam squares behind here so we can add a little bit of dimension. I'm going to make sure I get this corner on the top here. Since I didn't remove the release paper off of my foam squares, if you want to take your anti-static powder tool and tap away that adhesive from that frame, it won't stick. It just makes it not sticky. Okay, now before we remove the release paper here, I still have the little bird and also a little gold heart from our die cut pack. The sun and the clouds are from our die cut pack too. This panel measures 3 3/4 inches wide by 5 inches tall. This one is slightly, it's about 1/4 inch smaller. We're going to add this, but first we're going to take some gold cardstock and put it on the bottom. You really don't need this thick of a strip. Let's trim this down. I'm going to trim this down. I don't need this much gold. And So we'll just trim down a 1/2 inch strip. Kind of a crooked 1/2 inch strip, but that's okay, you're not going to see it. So we're going to add some adhesive on the very bottom of this panel, and then we'll add our gold strip. And then I'll take my heart. Make sure that there's hearts on the center of these little yellow squares. Make sure they are facing right side up. We're going to add some adhesive. Now I'm adding this to some white cardstock because we're going to put some twine around here. And putting twine around this pattern paper, since this is paper, it's better to have a little bit of stability. I put adhesive behind my gray and white polka dots, and I'm going to add this to the bottom, covering that seam there. Okay, and then I'm going to take some twine. I'm going to take some of my white hemp cord from Spellbinders, and I'm going to add this over this gray seam, and I think I'm going to usually, let's see, I'm going to tie a bow over here all the way to the right. Usually I like to tie the bows to the left, but we'll flip it around today. Okay, we have some texture now. Actually, I'm going to bring this down. I'm going to bring this down over that polka dot. Put it in the middle of that polka dot pattern paper. I think that's better. And then I'll flip this around. I'm going to add some adhesive. I'm going to add adhesive on the bottom too. We're going to tack this down to our card base. We'll open this up and just tack in the middle. This just looks like sunshine to me. I don't know what it is. I love the yellows. I guess that we've been doing so many Christmas projects that bright and shiny colors are really nice. Boy, I really put a lot of powder on my frame. I'm going to remove the release paper off of my foam squares. I have a very loud heater. I think I mentioned this before, so I have to talk a little bit louder. I'm going to take my frame and put it in the middle of my yellow cardstock here. After we have this done, I'm going to go ahead and add 2 foam squares. We're going to double up. I want this little birdie to be a little bit higher than the rest of my framed elements. And then in the chipboard stickers, I have a sentiment that says, "You make my heart sing." I'm going to cover the sentiment here that says loved. Just going to go on the corner and evenly space it. It's almost the same pink as our cardstock. And since it's off-centered a little bit, I have this gold heart. We're going to go ahead and put some foam tape behind here. I have to trim it down a little bit. And I'm going to take that gold heart and just cover it on this corner, kind of at a little angle. And then last but not least, I'm going to bring in one of my black pearls. These are the Spellbinders Fashion Jet pearls. There's little ones in here that I think will go perfect on my little bird's eye. There. Give it a little bit of dimension. And that will finish off that card. Cute little scene. For my final card today, I'm using the same pattern paper, the same 6x6 sheet. I've only used the 3 today. I think it was only 3. Yeah, the yellow, the pink, and then the gray with the itty bitty hearts. I'm going to first take this piece. I have a panel here that measures 3¼ inches wide by 5½ inches tall. And then I have some cardstock that's 3¼ inches wide by 1¾ inches tall. This is just leftover. I love using the leftover pieces of pattern paper because they all coordinate beautifully. I'm going to add some adhesive, and then this is going to go on the very bottom of my panel. Okay, we'll add this. I have a little overhanging, so I'll just trim this off. And then I have some yellow pattern paper. This is going to go over that gray seam just a little bit. And I have a little overhanging here too. Okay, once we have our yellow pattern paper adhered, I'm going to take this panel and we're going to put some foam tape behind here. Or if you have some foam sheets, let's do that. Once this is adhered, we have some of our die cut hearts. I'm going to do a little bit of layering with these. Some of them I'm going to pop up and some of them I'm not. Let's see. I'm going to figure out my placement first. And then I want to stamp a sentiment right over here before we commit with the rest of the hearts. I'm going to bring in my black ink. I'm using VersaFine Onyx black ink. And I'm using the sentiment from our stamp set that says, "No one makes me smile like you do." I just love that. Technically, you probably want to stamp this before. Okay, I think that's going to work. We have our little hearts here. So we have the plaid, the tan, and the white one that are popped up. I wanted to keep this area clear because we have some of those circles. I love this color palette. I love this. I'm going to put all 4 circles here on this gray paper. And I'm going to pop these up with some foam squares for a little extra dimension. So we have them evenly spaced. They look like little buttons. Is that one sticking out a little bit? Okay, I just made sure that they were evenly spaced as I can get them. Next, I'm going to take my glazing glue and we're going to go over each one of these just lightly so they look like little buttons. We'll put this back. And these are the 4 cards that I created today using the Spellbinders card kit of the month. It's called Love Grows here. It's the December 2022 card kit of the month. I hope this gives you some ideas on how to use the kit, and I thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we will see you soon. Bye-bye.